Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Writers Drinking Whiskey, your literary happy hour, the show where we may make fools of ourselves, but we never tell a lie. I am your host, William R. Hincy, who's 8 foot tall and bulletproof. And joining me today, I'm really honored and thrilled, and as great Uncle Elroy would say, pumped to have Heather writing under the name Astra Capone with me. Heather, welcome to the bar.
Thank you for having me, Bill. This is the highlight of my life. And I know that sounds like over the top, but I have been, I love your show. I've been subscribed since I think I'm one of the first 150, maybe 100, 200 subscribers.
Oh, very good. You're going to get a gold star one of these days. I have to find out who those beautiful people are and send down some swag, Writer Drinking Whiskey swag. I think I have, actually I did make some. I mentioned kind of pregame that I wanted to start taking the show live. So we do have little things like toasters and things. So after, send me your address and I will send you some some of the stuff. We have bookmarks now. Actually, this funny, I have a couple of them next to me. They're always next to me. I'm saying they're not always here, but I'm ready to promote them. We have little bookmarks. So actually, if I don't know if it shows up well on there, but it's a little stamp card. So if you come to the different shows, you get stamps. And then when you get the 4 stamps, we buy you a drink or you can grab a book. There's a little pop-up bookstore. So I will be sending you stuff. So send me something after and I will reward you for being one of the precious first, we'll say 300, like the whole Spartans thing, the 300.
Thank you. I'm a child. I'm an overgrown child. So I'm like, oh, shiny thing.
Very good. Very good. And I will be clipping that. I always clip little parts. And anytime people say nice things about the show, that's like, oh, of course, this gets clipped. And, now I keep it forever. And I watch it probably more than anyone else. So let me get to the intro here. So, and, feel free, jump in, add anything I might miss. But so you're the author of the Fool Me Once series. And I think the latest book was That a Lie? I think that's book 3 in the series. I did see that there's a book 0.5, I think. And I thought we're going to talk about that more, but I thought that was pretty awesome. I'm like, is there a book 0.5? I love this book 0.5. I want to read this, So, and as though that's the credits I grabbed online, was there anything else you would like to add to that?
No, that's it. And yes, you are right. There is a 0.5.
Very good. Awesome. So my favorite question of the show, what are we drinking?
Oh, okay. So I am drinking a decaf iced coffee because we're shooting this kind of late and I'm old. Bill, I'm old. And I can't have caffeine past noon. It'll just ruin me. I won't sleep until 3 days from now. So this is a decaf iced coffee, and I have my ice here, and I have my coffee here. I'm just going to add it in. And then no iced coffee is ever complete without the creamer. So I have cinnamon roll creamer.
Oh, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then I made sure to use the clear mug so that you could all see it kind of going together like that. Yay, that's what I'm drinking. I know it's kind of, because it's Writers Drinking Whiskey and I really wanted to do it, but I'm just going to stick with my decaf because I want to be able to coherently converse with you.
Correct. I've never been one to worry about coherence. That's my thing. But I have my little Irish whiskey back here, but I have my little wooden cups that I've gotten really fond of drinking from. I got these, I think it's Mad. I always mean to bring the card. I didn't. I think it's called Mad Cup or Mad Cap, but they make wooden cups. And so my wife had gotten one at one point. She really liked it. And then I had these little wooden shot glasses that I'd sometimes drink out of. I'm like, just drink out of these. So I need one of the cups. So we're at Renaissance Fair and I have them the pound. I'm like, whiskey cups? And he's like, oh, I don't have any here, but we are making some. So email me. And we emailed back and forth. So he sent me out a couple cups. So I have those to sip whiskey from now. So that's pretty fun.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's good times. So let's get into things here. So I like to kind of start off with where in the world we are, right? What's the setting? So if you could tell us where you were at and where's the best place to get a drink there.
Yes. Okay. So I am in a little town right between Boulder and Denver, Colorado. So I'm not going to give the name of the town because it's teeny tiny.
Okay, that's fine.
But the best place to get a drink around here is actually going to be in Boulder.
Sure.
And I don't remember the name of the bar because I was there for like 5 minutes, but it's on Pearl Street. And if you've come down to Boulder, or if anybody knows Boulder, you know Pearl Street. So you're going to go onto Pearl Street from Walnut, and it's going to be like a block down. It's on the left-hand side. It has a gorgeous yellow awning over it. And it's the best place to sit any time of year. And they're the nicest people. Everybody in Boulder is just the nicest person you've ever met. I'm originally from the East Coast, so that's bizarre to me. When I moved here, I was like, "Who are you people?" I was like, "This is not. You're gonna do something to me later, right? You're setting me up."
I know. You can't trust it when people are too nice. I've always actually been very suspicious of people that are overly nice. So I need to if I see those little flaws, I'm like, okay, that makes me feel a little better, because you're too nice. I feel like something's terrible going on in the back end there, So, but that's awesome. Yeah, I've been to Boulder. How many times? We've been out. My wife has family in Littleton. And then my uncle and aunt live in Colorado Springs. So we've gone out quite a few times and visited in Littleton and made the trip over to Colorado Springs and got to see my uncle and things. So some of those we've stopped by Boulder. I can't remember if it's once or twice, but I think end of the street, there's like the park there kind of in the middle of everything. And it's a beautiful, beautiful city.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And it's so walkable. It's so walkable. Both my husband and I work in Boulder. Now, I'm very lucky and I get to work remote 98% of the time. And I say that because that's how the job was advertised to me. And I was like, what is 98%? I have to go in 1 day a month because we have offices that they want to keep. And they're like, we must occupy this office 1 day a month to keep it. So I go in, and every time I go in on the last Tuesday of each month, I meet my husband for lunch and we go to Pearl Street.
Oh, very good. That sounds like a nice time. Yeah, awesome. So I wonder then, so maybe if you could tell us just kind of like your author journey and kind of where it started out to leading to today.
Yeah, of course. So I have been writing since I was about 7 or 8 years old. Just writing silly little stories and poems and anything that really came into my head. And as I got older, I maybe not old enough, question mark. And I say it like that because I was exposed to some things that a lot of I'm not a Gen X, I'm a millennial, but a lot of Gen X's will understand this. I was reading Flowers in the Attic when I was 11 years old. I was far too young to be reading that book. I read it when I was like 8 years old. I was far too young to be reading that book.
Right.
So I quickly progressed from reading Goldens to reading these big volumes of things that were just very advanced. And that's how my writing progressed. I went from being, I was 13 going on 33. And I finally decided to sit down and write my first novel during the pandemic. Surprisingly. I had nothing else to do. And I was like, if I'm ever going to do it, I'm going to do it now.
Right. Very good. Yeah, but that's neat because you heard so much of that, especially in the early days of the pandemic. Everyone got very inspired, and it was like, if we're going to be locked at home, we're going to do all this great stuff. And then it was like 2 weeks later, everyone was despondent. It was like, okay, you got to survive, So it's good you kept that momentum going and got the book written. So I always tell people, because sometimes you'll meet people kind of out and they're like, oh, I don't know, am I a writer? And I'm like, you know what? If you're writing, you're a writer. But if you're thinking about it, okay, you might one day be a writer. You're not, because you're not doing the thing. But once you're writing at things, I don't make some distinction between, I've sold with Big Five, or I published 1 book or 2 books or a bunch of short stories, whatever it might be. As long as you're actively writing, you're a writer. It's good enough. So
I agree with you.
good.
Word advice.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. You were able to use the pandemic to your advantage in that respect.
Thank you. I did. Yeah. I think I wrote, well, I have 3 books published, but I have 6 written in the series. And I think I wrote the first 2.5 during the time when we shut down in March of 2020 up until we reopened in like April of 21 or whenever it was. And I was like, oh man. And then it slowly dwindled because life came back to, regularity. And I'm glad, but still, it was so nice.
But you know what was really nice here actually was that because I'm in LA, LA County.
Yeah.
I always joke because people say, what's LA? And like one of the guests I had on the show, Matthew Kaye, is in LA, right? But he's in Pacific Palisades, which is like 45 minutes or 3 hours from me, and that's kind of everything, right? It's like most people don't actually mean like downtown. They're talking all this like area because they're just sprawled. Like it's crazy how far like LA sprawls out. But the coolest part with the pandemic though was that there was no one on the freeways. So if you went out, like you could just drive and like it was so magical. Like I just want to spend all day driving. I'll just be in this car. Usually I hate it. I'm like, to get in the car because I know we're gonna get stuck somewhere, But at that point, it was like I just got to go out and wander about without anyone, without traffic jams, people cutting you off and road raging because they've been in traffic jams and cut off and everything else. So.
Let me tell you, I lived in Philadelphia during the pandemic. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
I believe it.
I did. I used some of my time when I needed to get away from the book to get in the car and drive around because Philly was a ghost town.
Right. Yeah. No, I believe that because I hear Philadelphia's traffic is pretty horrific too. So
yes.
Yeah, very good. And so I did see, there was a bio online that had mentioned, I don't know if you got your degree in or you studied British literature.
I did, yeah. So I got my general degree, my BA in English literature, and but I favor British lit. Yeah. Oh God, I love it. I mean, I don't know if you can see some of the books behind me, but they're all things that I read when I was in college and I never got rid of them. I did 2 senior seminars, one on William Faulkner, one on Jane Austen. That's how insane I am.
Very good. Very good. So what drew you specifically to British literature?
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding? It was Pride and Prejudice. I read Pride and Prejudice. Everybody was forced to read it, and most people hated it. I loved it. I loved every single second of it. And then I just couldn't get enough. I know Faulkner's an American writer, so I don't want anybody to be like, are you sure you know what you're talking about? I know I grouped him in, but I promise you I know. But yeah, I loved her and I loved Wuthering Heights, Bronte. God, I mean, just list them, just name them. I studied the Romantics. I studied the Victorians. Oh my God, I could live in that world. I could just create a world. I could write a world and step right in and live in it.
Exactly. Just jump right in there. Yeah, I believe it. It's funny how people get those certain like time periods to where I don't know. It's like because I'm kooky, right? If you watch the show, I'm kooky. Like, so you could tell me that there's like past lives and that's why, and I'm like, that's a plausible explanation. I wonder that I'm just like, is it like that you at one point lived there and had a happy life, and it's like, yes, I want to go back there. Like that was a happy time. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. That's why I'm like talking like I'm whispering. Oh my gosh. So I have to tell you that it's actually really funny. This is part of what I'm writing. So the first series, I'm writing 2 series and they contain the same characters. And so the first series that I'm writing is all about them living in this world. And then the second series that I'm writing is all about them living in other worlds because they've always known each other. So it's like kind of past lives things.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, Bill, we're on the same wavelength.
Very good. So what's a writer then? So because I know Bronte, and I definitely know some of the names, and I did study. I've told the story on the show before, but I actually backed out of school with 3 classes left because I felt like it was destroying my writing. And in a real way it was, because actually I was having success, and then I get so caught up in the schooling aspect of it that I was just analyzing, and kind of I stopped liking my writing for one, and then it stopped getting published, for two. And then at one point I just went F this, and kind of purposely set aside everything I knew just to like the subconscious mind, and just wrote, and then started having success again. But so I know some of the names you mentioned, but who is a British writer? I guess it doesn't have to be. You could take this more broadly if you want, and because I mentioned Faulkner as well. But who's a writer that we don't read or doesn't get the credit, kind of like the Mount Rushmore guys, right? Like most people know the name, even if they've never read Faulkner or Steinbeck and some of these. Who's the writer who we haven't, we maybe isn't as well known that people should be reading?
Really good question. Part of me wants to say W.B. Yeats, but I think a lot of people probably know who he is. I'm gonna utilize the props behind me. Let's see here. Yeah, no, I'm gonna stick with W.B. Yeats because he's still coming in my mind, and he's Irish, and a lot of people they'll go with the big names that are from British literature, and sometimes they'll even go with some of the big names that are from the 1800s through the early 1900s in American literature. But I think a lot of people overlook W.B. Yeats and some of his stuff. I mean, he primarily writes poetry, but some of his stuff is just so beautiful, and it's heartbreaking, and it just touches me in such a way that I mean, the first time I read Brown Penny, Copper Penny. God, I can't remember the name of it now. I sound like a hack. But I swear I know what I'm talking about. The first time, I think it's Brown Penny, I actually cried. I was a teenager. I was 18, 19 years old, and I read it. I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, I didn't understand it. I had no idea what that poem meant. Not until I went into class, the next day, and then they kind of break it down for you. But I don't know, Bill. I kind of agree with you, because sometimes formal schooling, especially when you're trying to teach art, can get very overwhelming. And I really think that there are times when they should just leave it open to interpretation. The reader should have the right to determine what is going on. And I don't necessarily think that they should pigeonhole it into a right or a wrong simply because this is the way it's always been interpreted.
Sure. Yeah. And he's the one that wrote the Grecian Urn, right?
To Grecian Urn was John Keats.
Oh, that's Keats. Okay, I get the names mixed up in my head. Okay, I'll have to check him out. I don't know that I may have read at some point, but I'm with you. I think it's hard because I had an old professor, and then he would do this thing, but he would preface it by saying, "We kill to dissect." We kill to dissect. So it's like we kill, the art of it, the magic of this thing, so we can dissect it, right? And then in class, we would spend an hour or 2 hours dissecting it. And I was like, it's, but there's some worthwhile to it. And in real life, sure, like so you need, they've made advancements in medicine from, having dead bodies and being able to, study them. It's not that it's bad in the real world, but it's like, do you really know what it is to be a human by dissecting the body, or what it's like to be around a cat? Like we were talking about the cats, or my dog who's now barking at me over here. By like dissecting them, or by experiencing them, getting to witness them. And I think that was the thing. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I can't take it. Like this is too much. And maybe if I was a wiser man at the time, I could have, kind of put that in some compartment over here, and then kind of kept going. But it was like, no, this is driving me nuts. But
yes, I completely agree. And it's no different than when you're sitting in a high school classroom or you're sitting in a college classroom, and they give you this big compilation of William Shakespeare, right? And you open it up, and on one side is the Old English that doesn't make sense to anybody but people who study Old English all the damn time. And then on the other side, there's the translation, to give you some kind of understanding of what's going on. And then you read it and you go, oh, so this is going on? And they're like, no. And you're like, I want to say this is going on.
Right, sure. Well, Shakespeare is a great example, actually, because it's like, and it is, he's certainly beautiful at times, even now, like some of it, comes through. But man, they will just like pump him down your throat. And it's just like, man, this is not that accessible enough unless you want to study that time and study Old English and things. It's really hard to kind of really wrap your brain around and appreciate outside of the academic, kind of level of it.
It is. Well, I actually work for the University of CU Boulder. So I deal with a lot of academics, and I deal with a lot so I know exactly what you're talking about. And I have a lot of respect for the people who dedicate their lives to learning, to focusing solely on Shakespeare, because there are a lot of Shakespeare scholars, and I have a lot of respect for them. But sometimes I'm just like.
Yeah. Well, you can give them my email. They can send me nasty messages. And I mean, I've had lots of academics on the show. I have, I
know.
I don't like to preface everything all the time, because I feel like all conversations now are so preface heavy, but it's like, other people that could be a really nourishing example. I mentioned Matthew Kaye earlier. He's an academic. He works for colleges and things. I've had lots of other ones on. It can be worthwhile to some people, and it can be a worthwhile endeavor, but then it can also be a drawback, to other people and other situations. So I agree. I have nothing. I have love for everyone. I'm a modern hippie in that way.
You fit in really well with Boulder, because they are too. They're all just modern hippies. Please don't mistake me. I am not an academic. I am an accountant. I just have the privilege of working with academics.
Yeah. Very good. So what drew you into? So you're an accountant. Did you just happen to get an accounting job with it, or was there something that drew you to the higher education kind of sphere?
Let me tell you, Bill, I tripped and fell, and I fell into a huge hole. I have no idea how it happened. Do you want to know? I went to the University of Scranton, and that's where I got my bachelor's degree, because I'm originally from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, sure.
And so if we have any Office fans out there, hello, we love you too.
Was there really a Dunder Mifflin in the Scranton? I'm sure that's what everyone's asking.
Everyone is asking, and no, unfortunately, there was no Dunder Mifflin. However, they have created one, because Scranton understands capitalism.
Very good. Good for Scranton.
Right? And it's funny, if there's ever any native Scrantonians watching, and I know some of my family and friends will watch this when it eventually comes out, and they're all like, so hello to them. And a true Scrantonian would not pronounce the T. They'd be like, I'm from Scranton. That's how they say it.
Very good. Yeah, very good.
But I got my bachelor's degree from the University of Scranton, and then I worked for Social Security for 10 years. Yes, I got a degree in English Lit, but I didn't think about what I wanted to do with that. I was like, I could be anything I want to be. Yeah, you probably could, but with a degree in English Lit, you're not really trained in a whole lot, So
I was trying to tell my wife that, because my wife's one of those people that loves school. So she went back. She's a nurse, so she went back to get her bachelor's, then her master's, and she's right on the doorstep now for her PhD, and she's just kind of finishing up her doctorate paper and things. So you see, I have love for people. Like the person my wife is one of those people that's deep into academia, and so she kind of went and did all of those things, and I've completely lost my train of thought. Why I went into my wife here. So maybe I need to cut I said I'm fine with incoherence. I got to cut back a little on the whiskey. So we'll move on and go back to Scranton. So, but, and I did lose track. So we'll can that story. But so what then got you into,
I Accounting?
Accounting. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I do this to a lot of people, Bill. It's not you. It's me. I talk to my friend Sarah every Saturday night, and we end up having a 3-hour long conversation because we just moved from one thing to the next without having any idea how we got there. So I promise you. But yeah, I worked for Social Security for 10 years, and I just couldn't do it anymore because I was working with the general public. You know, on a daily basis, it can really, oh my goodness, it can really get to you. And, at Social Security, you're there to help people. And that's all I really wanted to do. I just wanted to help people. But there comes a point in time when you have to just kind of put yourself first. So I had to step away from that. And as luck and fate would have it, an incredibly handsome man decided that he loved me enough that he wanted to marry me. And I was like, oh, hell, I'm done with this. So I quit. And then I became a housewife for 5-6 years. And I was happy as a clam. I didn't really want to do anything else. And then I got a random call one day from a recruiter who had found my information that I had put online like 6 years ago. And she was like, are you still looking for a job? And I was like, no, but what do you got? I was kind of bored.
Right, sure.
So she got me an office manager position in the suburbs of Philadelphia. So I did that for a year. And then the pandemic hit and I quit. Well, the world shut down and he had to let me go. And then we moved from Philadelphia to Boulder because my incredibly handsome husband got a job in Boulder. And I was like, well, you make the money, so I guess I'll follow you.
Sure.
Not that that's the only reason, but then I was here and I was very bored. And I saw a temp job at the University of Colorado. And I was like, well, why not? I was able to transition my entire life from weird stuff into weird stuff. So maybe I could make higher ed work. And I always wanted to work in higher ed. I have such a deep respect for it. And I was like, well, maybe this time. And I was right. I got the temp job, and then that turned into a permanent job. And then I switched, and now I work for arts and sciences, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And I did remember where I was going with that now. So
I knew you would. I had faith in you, Bill.
Yeah, the rat was turning in there. That the people with English degrees, they tend to either become English teachers or go on to be professors, or they go into law. And so my wife one is like, oh, maybe after I get my doctorate, I'll go become a lawyer as well. And I'm like, what are you doing with all of these things? Like, people stop going to school at some point, but that's a conversation for another day. I think I'm wrong clearly on it, but some people don't stop going. But that was the thing, is like, I thought like, I was like, maybe I'll teach, because I was a single dad at the time. So I'm like, I can be on the same schedule as the kids. And so, I could teach. I was like, you know what? Maybe actually I would prefer to go into law, because, I think it has the highest rates of alcoholism. So I'm like, I'm a problem drinker. I'll fit right in, and then I stumbled down this path, the corporate, because we bought this house when we moved. So we're blended, right? So I had 2 kids. My wife had a previous marriage, and we had our son, and we moved here. And so there was kind of that like, we need to make ends meet. And so just working jobs, and I was like, okay, well, I just figure things out as you go. And it was like the critical thinking that a lot of the English stuff does teach you. A lot of that dissection that I was putting down, we're kind of teaching you the critical thinking of it, helped a ton, with the career going in. I did quality regulatory for a medical device company until a few months ago. But if you don't know where it's going to take you, but then if those skills you can actually apply, is that you build the skills up as you go.
Research. That was always my skill that I pitched to everyone. I said, I may not know how to do your job, but I have the aptitude to do your job, and I can research anything.
Sure. Yeah. Very cool. Was there a reason you were, so actually, skip the reason. What I'm kind of curious about is, people talk higher education, like you hear it in the news all the time, right? Everyone's like always upset with the colleges, or the colleges are upset with something. So I wonder from your perspective, because then you're not you're not kind of on the front lines, like, of it, but you're close enough to have like a little bit of a separation from it. What are your thoughts just generally on like the views nowadays of higher education and like the college campus kind of lifestyle and things?
In respect to how the public kind of views?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. I kind of understand. I think that higher ed as a whole needs to, I think that their mission is altruistic. And I think that they want to help everyone learn and grow as individuals and become cultured and help people come out of their comfort zones so that I can understand each other better. That's ultimately what education is about. I don't think that higher ed as an institution is something that can be sustained with the money and everything else that's involved with it and all the student loans that people accrue. And it's just, I mean, we're already seeing declines in applications because it's becoming this cavernous middle hole where you have the haves and the have-nots, and the haves are the ones who are going to college now, and the have-nots are the ones that are like, I don't have $100,000 plus interest to take out to get a 4-year degree that may or may not help me make a little bit more money when I can easily go into a trade. Not to say that a trade is any less, viable. I mean, I wish I had gone into a trade, if I'm being completely honest. I just don't think I might have had the skill. I don't think I would have had the skill.
You and me both, actually. And I'd be like, I'm going to be a plumber. And there'd be leaks everywhere. And I'd be like, I'm not a plumber anymore.
Right? And I'd be like, I'm going to be an electrician. And somebody'd be like, no, the hell you're not. No, you stand over there in the corner. You are not going to touch anything.
Right, get away from those wires. Man. That's 3 fires this week.
Right. And they were all because of you. So I think that we're just having this where people are making the right decision for them. I think there's no longer this golden, egg at the end, or the golden pot at the rainbow, where they're like, oh, you must go to college so that you can get a good job, so that you can live a good life, so that you can have a good home, so that you can have no. There are many, many, many ways to get to the end. And I think a lot of people are discovering that. And I mean, I wish higher ed the best, but I just don't see how it's, in the end, the way that they currently have it structured, I just don't see how it's sustainable.
Right. We might be on one of those, because it's easy to think, right? Like when you grow up with something, that thing will always be in that capacity, right? It's kind of the same thing. You always look at your parents, and then it's like you think we're always that way, and they've changed over time, and they'll continue to change. I wonder if higher education is just kind of going through a little bit of a pull switch to where it was like everyone needs to go. And now people are going like, okay, maybe everyone doesn't need to go for one, right? There's all kinds of different good lives. Like you mentioned, you're a housewife for a while and we're happy with that. Or you can, there's 1,000 different ways to have a life that might suit you. All of them aren't going to be they get the degree and then go into corporate or go into academia, whatever it might be, right? That's one path to maybe a fulfilling life, but it's not the path that everyone needs to take. So I wonder if there's just a bit of, now that it grew up to the biggest it's going to be, and now there's going to be a little bit of a win-away. It'll never go completely away, I'm sure, and it shouldn't. Certainly,
I don't think it will either. Yeah. No, but like I said, I think if they don't change something, I hope you're right. Let's put it that way. I hope you're right. I hope it's just kind of like a phase that they're going through, and that they eventually pivot and they find the proper road. That's what I really hope. But if it continues down the path that it's currently on, it's going to be no different than it was in the 1700s or the 1800s, where only the nobility were able to go to college. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the prices are astronomical anymore. You hear like it's like
kidding?
$50,000 for a semester.
Student loans.
I know, you can never get away from them either. Right now, like how there's like, should we let people go bankrupt and get out of their student loans? So it's like, man, they really just had you by the tail. They're like, no, you're going nowhere without the student loan.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I wonder, I've kind of taken to ask you this question lately, but do you have any irrational fears?
Irrational fears. God, sometimes I do actually. It took me a second, but I was like, yeah, this is going to be bizarro. It's so funny. So I actually do sleep with like a baseball in my bedroom because you never know. That's irrational. I live in a very safe neighborhood. There's no reason for that, but I'm just like, I'm going to be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Do you watch true crime or listen to true crime stuff at all?
Are you kidding? Since I was a kid, since before it was popular.
Very good. Very good. That's funny. It made me think of that. My wife's always liked it. But it's like recently, the last year, she's gotten super into it. And so now it's like she'll get up. She's like, oh, is the garage door shut? And the garage door is always shut, but then there's there's a lock on it to where you can't open it from the outside or electrically. It just locks it, right? Like, oh, and that's what she means. Is it locked? She'll come, double check. And I'm like, I already double checked everything. It's fine. She's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go look. So I can see that completely. We went to Renaissance Fair and I bought a sword this last time. And I have a couple. We have a William Wallace sword because my son's. I'm William Ryan. My dad's Patrick. My son's William Wallace. So we have the William Wallace sword. But it's a sword, but you couldn't actually use it. It would just break. It was just like a show sword. But I bought this one. They're like, oh no, you can use it. You can go to our YouTube, and I went to their YouTube, and you can have things with it. So I had it. I'm like, oh, where am I going to display it in the house? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put this in the closet. So if anyone's ever comes in and I need a weapon, I have this and go medieval. I just grab my sword and go out.
They won't know. Just don't swing it at them. Are you kidding? Just stand there like a samurai.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. But I see that completely because I grew up with Unsolved Mysteries. And so I have the DVDs that I watched the Unsolved Mysteries on here, the old ones with Robert Stack. I watched the new ones too, but the Robert Stack is the best.
Oh, come on. They're the best.
So, that's where I think I actually heard one time someone explained that that's where America's Most Wanted came from. Unsolved Mysteries was that they started doing little profiles and things like that. And that came, and then all this true crime really spewed out of Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, true crime and unsolved mysteries. Well, so when I was a kid, it was Unsolved Mysteries first. And let me tell you, when that theme music came on, I was under the blanket on the couch. Don't tell me why there were no lights on. I had the ability to get up and turn the light on, but I think it just took away a little bit from the ambiance. And okay, so kind of and this is why I took you off course before, and I'm sorry, but this is where my mind goes. I just thought of Are You Afraid of the Dark from the 1990s Nickelodeon. Yeah. And I was like, and that's another one. I'm watching that stuff and I'm like, and this is why I'm frightened of everything.
That's true. That's true. But they're good though. It's addicting. I went through this a couple of weekends ago. The Unsolved Mysteries. They did. I don't know if they still sell it, but they had box sets. It was the ghost stories and the legends and the true crime and all these. I bought every one they had, and we didn't have a DVD player, but my son had a PS4. And then at some point, I think a couple of years ago now, but he got a PS5. But I was like, wait, you saw that PS4? Because I can play my DVDs on that. He's like, oh, yeah, it's over here. So I set that up, and sitting at the bar on the other side of the bar here, watching Unsolved Mysteries and drinking whiskey. I was like, man, this is what adulthood was always meant to be.
I love physical media. I love physical media so very much. So my favorite, sidebar, Bill, sorry. There's my favorite show in the whole wide world is The X-Files. So it's in vein with what we're talking about. And I own that thing on Blu-ray. I bought it on streaming, but I don't trust it to not go away. So I bought it on Blu-ray and I have all 11 seasons, both movies. I have a PS4 as well. That's what I use as my DVD player. And I watch that all the time. I love physical media.
Oh yeah, yeah, amen. I noticed that because I forget what I got this. I mean, before there was a lot of streaming, I got those anyway, so I had a bunch from that time. But then when they started talking about like, oh, they cut this scene out and they did this or what, I was like, oh no, I want the original one the way I remember it. Like I need to start getting these, like you said, or they just pop off your streaming, and you just don't have it anymore. And I was like, well, that sucks. I want to like pay for something that I own and I can pop in when I want to watch it. So yeah, I'm with you completely.
Yeah, I still have the original Friends from when they were selling like the old DVDs, like in the early aughts. And I'm glad I do, because when I started to watch it on streaming, they're showing the syndicated version of it. So they're cutting scenes. And I was like, I can't watch this. I can't watch this. And I cracked out my old DVDs. Yeah.
I was like, no, I have a couple of the seasons of Friends too, actually. That's funny. I didn't realize the syndicated, the streaming ones were cutting out some scenes. So,
yep.
Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. Awesome. So thanks for that. So I think, and I joke nowadays with the show that with the name called Writers Drinking Whiskey, I'm like ethically mandated to talk some writing. So let's transition here to the writing talk. So so first, actually, I have these arranged in a certain way, but let's start with the pen name. Maybe it's a simple reason, or maybe it's a more complicated one, but I'm just wondering why you decided to go with the pen name. Kind of what's the story behind that?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's a pretty simple reason. I absolutely bombed the first time I tried to write anything. It was a horrible experience, and I didn't want to use my actual name. I used my actual name the first time. I was like, I learned from my mistakes. We're going to use the pen name this time. So that way, if I really screw it up, no one will know it was me.
Yeah. Amen. That's so funny. I had on Kier Graff on one of the episodes, and he writes under his name now. He actually does some collaborations with different names as well. But he was saying like, oh yeah, there's a book. It's out there, but it's under pen name. I don't tell people. I'm like, okay. So that's funny. So awesome. And then I saw also, and I think one of the descriptions, I might have seen this on Goodreads, I think, but you tell me what you mean by spicy women's fiction / rom-com prayer.
That is on my bio. Yeah. So spicy women fiction / rom-com prayer. Because that's how I get through my days. On a hope and a prayer. And all right, so I actually do have a really good answer for this, and I didn't even know until right now. I loved Harlequins when I was a kid. Loved them. I would be like, Mom, can I please go to the grocery store with you? And she knew why. It's because I wanted to go to the checkout where they had them all lined up. And she's like, Heather, you're going to spend all your money. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't care. Take me. So she would take me with her, and I would buy 4 books at a time, and I would come home and I would read them. I would just devour them. And I realized after a while that they were all the same damn story. Change the names, they changed the occupations, they changed the locations. That was it. Not that I'm throwing shade, because I like me a good Hallmark movie every once in a while, and that's pretty much Hallmark Christmas movies. So no shade. Yep.
Amen.
But I was just like, I want to read this, but I want to read something that's going to keep me invested. I want to read something that's going to keep me on my toes. And that's the reason why I decided to do spicy women fiction rom-com.
Very good. Very good. That is a great answer. That's funny. Because I was talking to Ken Liu on the show. Actually, we're recording this August 13th. I think his episode is like 2 days from now is when it premieres. He was a software engineer, and he went on to be a lawyer. And then he focused on patent law with software. And so I asked him about AI. And just, because that was got to be the hot thing, and all the writers like, AI stealing all the jobs, and the robots are going to take over. And I had asked him about it. He had a lot of interesting things to say about it, but one of them was, if you're a writer that does kind of the extreme formulaic thing, and he had brought up like he used to love Dungeons and Dragons books, and it was that same exact thing. It's like, okay, a party goes out, they have a venture, and it gets to be about optimizing a format versus kind of telling a new story or inventing something new. even in just the small ways when you've done something new kind of within a story. And he's like, that is the kind of stuff that is probably going to go to the robots. I mean, I don't think he said to the robots. That's how I'm going to phrase it. He probably said it in a way that makes sense for smart people. But to me, I'm like, okay, that goes to the robots, the Harlequin romances or something that may go to the robots. But but the people that take something and make it unique, to them and things, that's not gonna. I don't think that ever goes to the robots. So we keep that. So that's I'm happy to hear you did that. I think it's a brilliant way to look at it too.
Job security. That's what I created. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. So when you're writing, romance, because there is such a tradition, right, with the Harlequins and like you mentioned, I love Hallmark movies too. Winter, it's so comforting just to throw one of those on and make cookies or just kind of hang out or whatever. But how do you put your spin on it? How do you take that kind of romance and put your individual spin on it?
Well, this is where the X-Files comes in play, because the X-Files, just to give you a little bit, if you don't know, and if the viewers don't know, it was one of the first serial dramas ever to have a continuous storyline. Most of the time that didn't happen.
Oh, really? And I loved X-Files too. I just didn't realize it was one of the first. It never dawned on me back then.
Yeah. And I loved it. And I was 8 years old when it premiered. It premiered the day before my 8th birthday. And I was never given another early birthday present that good in my entire life because I was invested from the first minute I watched it until it ended in May of 2001. Yeah, that's right. I don't know.
Wow, 2001. I didn't realize it had been gone that long. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then it came back, for those limited edition series, but they weren't the same. And the magic had gone. I think they waited a little too long. But for the original run, the story was very intricate and very convoluted. Now, convoluted part of it, maybe not so great, but it was very intricate. And I loved it. I loved following along on every detail. And of course, as you may or may not know, Vince Gilligan was a staff writer for the X-Files, and he went on to make Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Oh, interesting.
And and all of those shows that everybody loves right now. And Vince Gilligan loved the X-Files. He loved writing for them. He specifically loved writing the scenes, the really intimate, emotional scenes between Mulder and Scully. Right. And he gave an interview, I want to say about 5 years ago now, and I quote it all the time. And somebody asked him, what would you tell an upcoming writer? What is the best piece of advice that you would give them? And he was like, make every detail count. He said, never write a throwaway line. If you're going to write it, make sure it matters, even if it's five seasons later. He was like, make it matter. And I took that to heart. And that's how I make my story unique, because it's a series. Each book can be read as a standalone, but it continues throughout. The story just continues throughout each book. And something that is said or something that is seen in the first book matters just as much in the sixth book when it comes back around again. I never wrote a throwaway line. Everything matters.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for that. And then there's the rom-com aspect to it, which I miss. It used to be when there would always be a rom-com in theaters, right? Maybe not literally, but it was there was always a rom-com coming out. It'd be one of me and my wife's first dates. We actually debate when we started dating, because I thought we started dating much sooner apparently than she did. But when we were, I forget what movie I wanted to watch because I lost, but we made a bet. It was okay, we can watch the movie I went, or we watched, I think it was 27 Dresses. I think that was the movie.
Yes, with I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we ended up watching. And so whatever guy kind of movie, quote unquote guy movie came out, we didn't watch it. We watched that. But it was always out. And even though I wanted to watch the other movie, it was those movies were still fun, right? Because they had the comedy in them. It was kind of something for everyone. So when you approach it, how do you like fit in the humor into it, right? Like if you have the romance to it, how do you go about handling the humor and the comedic aspects?
I try to make sure that I temper my drama with equal comedy, because if you have too much drama, it just becomes very overwhelming and fatiguing. When I sit down and watch a movie, I probably won't pick like an epic sweeping drama like Gone with the Wind or anything. I've seen it and I love it, but I have to be in a certain mode to want to watch it, because otherwise it just zaps all my energy out of me. Sure. Laughter kind of brings that energy back. And so I didn't want people, because some of the subjects that I write about can get pretty heavy. I have, warnings in the beginnings of each of my books to let people know I touch on very sensitive subjects. And to temper those subjects and make them palatable, I want to add the comedy. So I'm like, okay, if we're going to have a scene where they're going to argue over something that's very real and that could possibly happen in everyday life, and it might trigger somebody and make somebody go, oh man, that reminds me of like my first marriage or something. Then I want to make sure that I'm going to temper that with a laugh out loud scene, hopefully laugh out loud scene. I'm not trying to give myself too much credit, but something that's really going to make them go, oh, okay. I feel much better about this now.
Right. It is hard to carry that burden, through. Yeah. So I think it can like, I think you hit it, right? You have to be in the mood. But I think it can be just kind of like the Greek tragedies and catharsis and kind of things. Like, I think it can be really cathartic to still have those, fiction movies. I think they still have a place for that. But I think it can also be really powerful to also be able just kind of to break the spell for a moment, just to kind of have that like this hit and kind of laugh for a second. And so kind of go through that journey, it's hard. It's like, even if you're on a road trip, it can be that like, oh, we're arguing at each other's throats. And then something like minor happens and you just kind of laugh out loud. And it's not that it was that funny. It was also just, it hit at the right moment to break the tension and kind of give you that release. So
that's it. That's what I do. I'm like, all right, we had our dramatic moment. Let's flip it on its head and give you something to laugh about.
Very good. How do you feel? Because I know, I don't remember if this is Dario wrote me something. So Dario, and actually I should remember future me, put a link to Dario's episode here. So Dario Chariello, dear friend of the show who put us in contact, had wrote me like a little blurb about you. So I can forget what was something he told me versus maybe something we emailed back and forth versus something I looked at online. But I think there is a psychological component to what
that's probably
doing.
Something he told you. Yeah. Okay. And honestly, Dario is my boy. Hi, Dario. I love him to pieces.
He's awesome. Yeah.
He made me a better writer. Yeah. But anyway, sorry. Yes, there is a psychological component to all of my books. John Carrington, who is the lead character. Well, no. Now, see, I do that all the time. Clara Presley is the lead character of my books. She is a self-help author. She meets John Carrington, who is a talk show host. He's a British talk show host, which brings us back around to my love of British literature. I had to make my protag British. I was like, he's going to be the Mr. Darcy combined with Elvis person in the world. I love this dude. And he is basically an unregistered psychologist, and he is very controlling. There's a controlling aspect to the novel. And I mean, that's in right now. It's not that it's in right now. It's been in forever. Everybody loves that. I don't know. There's just something about it. And I think it's because a lot of people wrestle with control throughout daily life.
Sure.
And there is a psychological component to all books. And with my books, it's who can outthink the other one. That's kind of what's happening. And there's some humor imbued with it, as I said before, but there's also, I've had somebody describe it as a Machiavellian element, because Carrington could be kind of dastardly at times. He's 5 steps ahead. You know, he's plotting in the very beginning of the series when you haven't even met him and you don't even know what he's all about. And then 3 books later, and you're like, oh, what just happened?
Right. That's awesome. That's so interesting too, because I think it's such an interesting topic, control, and like the human need for it, and the human need to be uncontrolled and like out of control, like how those there's always that friction, with that. And that it's I've actually noticed that a lot with relationships, because my wife is not controlling in the relationship sense, right? We're actually in the relationship sense, we're both very like easygoing. Like she kind of does what she's doing, I'm doing what I'm doing. We do stuff together all the time, but there's not like, oh, you're doing that show. Well, I don't want you to do that show. Or you know what I mean? Or it's just out training patients, and like they go train so much patients, right? They're just kind of doing it, but the general need for control, she's way on the higher end than I am, to where I'm like, yeah, things are out of control. Sometimes I feel very free actually in that moment. I'm like, I'm glad everything's out of control. This suits me just fine. But when you have 2 people, like they could be fighting for that. There's that fight for control. It's kind of a constant thing. So I can see that being a really interesting kind of tableau to play with there.
Yeah. Am I allowed to talk about something that is kind of personal, or?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, I've struggled with control my entire life. I had actually an eating disorder for a very, very, very long time. And I gave that to Clara because it's something that I think a lot of people struggle with. And that my eating disorder was all about control. I thought I had all the control in the world when I was really, really restricting. And, I came to understand that I really didn't have any at all. It was, you think you have a lot of control, and then you don't. And you kind of lose it, but you don't actually see that you're losing it. And so there's that aspect to it, which is how it gets heavy. You see, it's just the whole mood changed. But then to kind of temper that, we bring it back around to make it that these two are polar opposites. They should never work in any right way, shape, or form, but yet they complement each other so beautifully, even though they are both they need this control. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm glad to hear it sounds like you're, doing better from the way you say it. But it is interesting, because my oldest daughter, Rhiannon, is always like just a pain to feed. And that's, as a father, she was a pain to feed. just from my point of view, right? But like just very young. And I used to kind of blame myself a little, because then, when you feed them the children's food, I gave the turkey one time. I was giving it to her, and then she was kind of like, squirming away. And I was like, it's good. And I ate it. I'm like, oh, this is horrible. You never have to eat the turkey again. And I'm like, man, I should have made her eat the turkey. She would have built up acquired the taste for it, maybe. But she had a teacher one time that was a psychologist, I think 3rd grade or something. And I had told her, I was like, it's really hard. It's like she'll fight with you with food all of the time. And she had said that. She's like, it's a way she can control things. So she looks at it. So she doesn't want to eat dinner. She gets to control that she doesn't eat it. And like gives her that control, like at the time. And then bless her heart, she was, how old was she? She was maybe 1 when me and her mom kind of split up. And then her mom was split up actually with my second daughter. So she kind of, I think, didn't get that, like as a kid, felt like things were out of control. And then so that was her way of getting to control it. And it was hard, because then, it's like just, and especially I'm talking, when I say she was a pain, I'm saying more as a baby, but even older, it was like, oh gosh, but it's you don't realize the psychology all the time, kind of behind it, and how much control comes into play, like, with everything we do as crazy humans.
That's putting it lightly.
Awesome. And so then before we move on, so we have the shots portion of the show. I know we're doing coffee, but we still have to do our shots portion of the show. And then we get to the reading here. Before we move on to that, I did want to ask though, so you said you had, I think you said 6 books written. There's the 3 or 4 out, and if we're counting the 0.5. But what's next for you as a writer? Like what's upcoming, and where do you see the future going?
Sure. So I am going to release book 4, hopefully early next year. I'm in the process of writing book 7. I have it about a quarter written. So I'm still going to be working on that. When I finish book 7, I then have to segue that into the following series that I was telling you about that I'm writing that will tie into this first series. So it's just, I thought it was a good idea. It sounded like a great idea. I was like, this is monumental. And then I was like, oh my God, this is so much work. A lot of very intricate, like plotting. I'm not good at plotting, Bill. I'm not good at it. I'm very much a right by the seat of my pants kind of girl. And when you're writing very intricate stuff, it's tough, So I started out writing on note cards, like pastel note cards. And I was keeping all my bullet points there. And then the series got too wild and I was like, oh, forget about it. So I switched to OneNote. So now I have all of my stuff in OneNote and I can go back and see where the major plot points are, because all the major plot points from this series matter to the, to the second series that I'm writing. So, but that's ultimately till I die, till the day I die, Bill, I'm going to be writing this series.
Very good. I know how you feel. I I was writing, and you probably heard me mention on the show. I've been writing Pirates of Appalachia, and I'm doing the finishing touches on it. And it's one of those things I always know if something is coming done. I usually know it's because then if I need to change a word anywhere, it becomes excruciating because I'm like, that kind of affects all of these things, right? It's that web. I'm like, okay. So it's getting done, but I always envisioned as it's an epic absurdist satire, and as it's kind of blow up of everything today, but kind of set in this near future. And I wanted a Greek chorus, essentially. I call it the pirate chorus between chapters. And it's social media post. It's there's Pitapedia, which is like the Wikipedia, because it's set in like the city state of Pittsburgh in those times. There's Pitapedia, there's everything you can think of. There's songs, all these things like in between there. And I wanted to purposely write it without even needing that. Publisher gets it and I was like, we don't want to put it in for the first edition. I want to, no matter what, there has to be an author cut at some point where I'm including this, but I wanted to write it so it all works together. But now when I was doing this last just kind of continuity edit, I was like, okay, I need to add all of this in now. And now I'm like, I'm never going to stop writing this. Like, why did I decide at this time that now I need to like do all of this, And it's just, it's craziness, but I feel you because I'm like, I'm never going to, I am going to be done probably here in another month and a half, but it was, I think 15 years, I want to say. I have to look back at my things, but it's going to take a good 15 years. And I did other things. I was working full time and had kids and such, but, and wrote other books, along the way. But the last 4 years have been pretty solid. And it's like, oh my gosh, I just want to write something new. Yeah. I'm a short story writer by heart. This has been,
Wow. That's a huge shift.
Yeah. So, but yeah. And I wanted to ask before we move to the shots though, have you ever tried Scrivener?
I have not.
Okay. And the only reason I say it, I didn't love it myself. I tried it many years ago, but it has like a note card feature like right built into it. It's supposed to be kind of a word processor designed for writers. And I know a few that have liked it. I was and because I used Word so much for work, it's like, to me, it was like, no, this is too much of a, and I don't do a lot of note carding anyway. So it's like kind of the extra features aren't something I use. And I'm so used to Word. I was just like, no, I'm just going to use this. But If you ever wanted to try it out, it might be interesting. I'm sure it's gotten better since I tried it. That was probably 10 years ago when I tried it.
All right. Well, thank you for the suggestion. I will look it up.
Yeah. And that's not a paid advertisement because there's no paid advertisements. I actually keep meaning like right here. Yeah, right here. I want to put like your bottle here sign. It was like, so someone like booze is what should advertise on the show at some point. That would be fun. But yeah, an unpaid advertisement for a Scrivener. Awesome. So are you ready for some shots?
I am.
Okay, so rapid fire questions. There's no right or wrong unless I deem them wrong, because I'm the host of the show. I get to do these things. So, you ready?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so as someone with the pen name, I wanted to test your knowledge on other writers' pen names. So I'll give you the pen name, and you answer with their who the real name of the author is. So, Mark Twain.
Oh man, I know it, and I don't. I don't know. Tell me.
Samuel Clemens. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I knew that one, but most of these are just courtesy of the Google box, so it's not like I knew all of these beforehand. So don't feel bad at all. Dr. Seuss.
Oh, Theodore. Right? Yeah.
Right. You got the first part.
Fudge.
Seuss.
That's not it. That's not it.
You gotta work Fudge Seuss. I like that one more, actually. We're gonna give you credit for that one.
Thank you.
It's Theodore Seuss Giselle or Giselle. I wonder if he's married to Tom Brady's ex-wife. What was her name? Something Giselle. Oh no, it's Giselle. I think it's her first name.
Giselle. I'll give you credit for that.
Thank you for that. Lewis Carroll of Alice in Wonderland fame.
I know. See, yeah, you should be asked. Okay, I should be able to answer what they wrote because I have no idea. Oh, this is terrible. Yeah. I don't know. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's Charles Ludwig Dodgson. I think it must be German or something. There's a lot of G's in there. I can't pronounce. And that last one, I just thought this one, I would have had no idea about this one, but I thought it was pretty hilarious. Silence Dogood.
Benjamin Franklin.
You nailed it. It was Benjamin Franklin. You got it. I never heard of it, but I was like, Silence Dogood. Like Benjamin Franklin had a bunch of pseudonyms. I was like, oh, awesome.
Are you kidding? I lived in Philadelphia.
Oh, you got it. That worked out then. There's some serendipity then. Okay, very good. Okay, so off of the hard trivia questions here. So next question, cats. Agents of Satan or demonic beings all their own?
Demonic beings all their own. They are controlled by no one.
Very good. Very good. We have where we live is it was an old sports chalet is our back neighbor. And now it's like a place called Yard Sale. It's like a thrift store, but there's a bunch of restaurants back there. And they use this big brick wall as the rats use it as their freeway system. And so it's my constant battle. I swear, it's we seal the house and suddenly someone's like, saw a rat in the garage. I'm like, what in the world? Where are these coming from? So apparently they ate through a door. That's our latest one. And now we're figuring that out. Yeah, it's a rat apocalypse. But I was like, I want 6 cats. I'm just going to give them the garage. They can just own it. They can live there. That can just be their hunting ground. I will cherish them, food, whatever they want, You're
going to have the 6 laziest cats in the history of time, let me tell you. They're not gonna do a thing for you. They're going to be like, this is beautiful. I just get to sit here and do nothing.
This is true. And they won't want to be in there. They're like, we're going to sleep on your bed. Why would we be in the garage? So.
Are you kidding? I have 2 cats, so I know exactly what,
Oh, okay, so next question. Have you ever witnessed anything inexplicable?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Several times. I lived, like I said, in Scranton. I grew up there. I lived there for 30 years. And a lot of that is very, very old. Most of Pennsylvania is just ancient. And everything is haunted. everything is haunted in Pennsylvania. Like the whole 13 original colonies, they're all haunted. That's it. And well, you know, because you're from Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, my family's all from out in Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Western Pennsylvania.
Oh, you know. Yeah, it's all haunted. So
did you have any particular experience you want to share?
Yeah. In the house that we lived in when I was a kid, I was about 12, 13 years old. You know, my mom was just letting me stay home by myself. And I just thought I was so cool. And I was like, I'm in the house just, you know, like dancing around to NSYNC or something, because that's what I was listening to at the time. And then I hear the faucet in the kitchen turn on full blast by itself. I'm by myself. No, nothing could have touched that faucet. And I was just like, and I got really scared, you know, I was like, oh my God, I'm a 12, 13-year-old kid. I'm just like, oh my God, where's grandma? Like, I don't even know who I'm going to call. My grandmother was down the hill. So I was like, maybe I could run down the hill, but to get to the hill, I got to go through the kitchen to get to the door. And I'm not doing that, you know? So I'm like standing there frozen. NSYNC is playing so loud. And I'm just like, and then it turns off. And I was like, that's not cool. Out loud. That's not cool.
The ghost was like, I thought it was cool. I thought you'd find it cool. But
The ghost is like, you don't know what cool is.
you know, I saw you dancing just now. Don't tell me that's not cool. You try to turn on the faucet without a body, you know. Ghost. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yes.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
To not take any advice.
Very good. What's the worst piece of advice you ever received?
God, I don't know.
Was it take my advice?
Yes. I don't know. I mean, I just don't. I take advice with a grain of salt. I always have. Even when I was a kid, I was just like I was inherently skeptic, you know? So, worst piece of advice? I don't know. I apologize. I have nothing for that one.
No, not a problem. And then finally, the most important question: favorite podcast, and why is it Writers Drinking Whiskey?
It actually is. And that's not even a lie. Because when Dario was first on your show, he blasted it everywhere. And I was like, I'm going to check this out. And I did. And I was like, oh, this is so fun. And I wait for them. I wait for the episodes, you know, and sometimes I don't even, I just put it on and it's like, I use it to go to sleep sometimes. I'm just listening to you guys talk. I don't even have to see who's on the screen. I just like listening to it.
Sure. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And it is very, very appreciated. I like to ask that question all the time anyways, because at the end of the day, it's just, I'm very self-serving, you know, it's my little moment, you know. Awesome. So I know you had something you're going to read for us today. You want to introduce it?
Yes. So I am going to be reading to you from my first book, which is Did I Lie? And just to kind of set up the scene, because I'm picking a chapter that's a little bit farther in. This is when Clara Presley and John Carrington, they've had a one-night stand in Las Vegas. And as I said, they're both very controlling. And Clara is a commitment phobe. She doesn't want to be in a relationship. Carrington is very much, oh no, we've had a one-night stand. We are very much in a relationship now. And he orchestrates a lot of their meetings. And he makes it so that they are always kind of bumping into each other and things. Well, now, at this point in the book, they haven't seen each other in 5 months. And Clara has just gone to her psychologist's office and she had kind of a breakthrough that she's very much in love with him and she doesn't know how to tell him. And so this is a scene where Clara is very drunk and she's extremely obstreperous, which is a word I learned from Dario. I had no idea what that word was. It just means very drunken in body and extremely loud. And she's having a very good time and she's trying desperately to tell him that she's in love with him. So that's what's happening here.
Well, awesome.
And as I told Bill before it started, I do the voices. I apologize in advance if the voices suck. I don't claim to be good at it, but I do the voices.
Very good.
Okay. I hummed a song about telephones, patiently waiting as lights flashed over rainbow butterflies adorning the walls, ceilings, and floors. They tinted the golden accents as cheers peaked and fell. Waitresses wandered about in tight black dresses when I pumped my fist and yelled, "Vegas!" A lonely soul whooped as the third ring started. I sighed upon the fourth ring, but Carrington surprised me, like always, and answered, "Oh, darling, to what do I owe the pleasure?" I said throatily, wobbling, "because you already called me today." He asked me to hold and spoke away from the receiver, thanking someone. I looked at the phone, bleary-eyed. What time is it there? I counted 8 hours ahead, and he apologized for the delay. "Why are you up?" I asked him. "Pardon me?" "It's like 4 in the morning there." "Oh, well, that's okay. I'm so sorry. I can't see you anymore." I stumbled. This is a fucking mess, just like me, because I don't see you at all. I talk to you. I thought hard. I can't talk to you anymore. His voice was calm. "Sorry, darling, where are you?" "Doesn't matter, you hot old man. You won't change my mind." Someone hit a streak on the 777 slot. Bells and whistles chimed as the siren spun blue and white. Several people screamed and clapped, and I staggered away. "Which casino are you in, love?" he asked. I searched the game floor as I turned in a circle. "Can you hear that like you can hear my breath when I breathe?" I asked. "How much have you had to drink tonight, darling?" he inquired, muffled. I checked my phone screen suspiciously and whispered, "You crafty bastard. Can you tell me what made you stop drinking?" "I can," I said with a giggle. "But that doesn't mean I will." "Would you be kind enough to hear me?" Grinding, honking, and slamming doors followed. "What are you doing?" I asked. "It sounds like you're building a damn house, or a boat, or a houseboat." "Ooh, I want a boat." I threw my hands in the air. "But there's only desert around." "What hotel are you occupying, my love?" he asked, concerned. "Love, love, love, that's all you ever think about," I sing-songed, snapping my fingers and thumb. "Call me love, tell me you love me, pretend you love me." My voice wavered. All the same, all the same. 2 people walking by ignored me when I snapped at them. "I would never pretend with you, Clara," Carrington said seriously. My cheeks caught fire. I patted the right one and shook my fingers to cool the invisible heat. "That's only because you don't really know me. Perhaps you'll tell me what hotel you're staying at, and then you may tell me everything you wish to know about you." "Well, I guess," I said. "You're not making any more noise. What are you going to do anyway? You're lots of hours away. Too many for me to figure out. Lots. I'm at the Wynn because it's beautiful and they have cats. I remember the cats." "Fantastic, darling," he said, relieved. Swishy noises accompanied him. "Thank you." I wandered and sat hard on a bench across from the flower display, which changed with the holidays. The red, white, and blue from the 4th of July doubled for Labor Day. "I got a new dress," I said. "Did you? That sounds lovely. What does it look like?" "It's a black mini dress with white polka dots. It has a sweetheart neckline and a pleated bottom, and it flares when I spin like a sexy 50s housewife." His swishy noises stopped. "How interesting," he said. "Thank you for sharing. Now, what else did you wish to share with me?" "Oh, yeah. I need you to listen for a damn minute. So, you love me, huh?" His voice panged. "You know that I do, Clara." "Don't be sad, beautiful boy." I caressed the phone as if petting an animal. "I'll tell you why you shouldn't be sad or in love, okay? Are you listening?" "I'm all yours, darling." A shivering jolt went through me. "Ooh." I shook my fists and stomped my feet. "Your voice. Accent. Did I ever tell you how much I love your voice?" "No, however, I appreciate your honesty." "Yeah, I guess it's easier to tell the truth when there's no threat of heartache, right? You know, your voice is half the reason I orgasm so hard with you," I whispered. "It's not just the sex stuff, though. I like listening to your voice all the time. Like when you call to check on me and when you call to say goodnight. Time you call, really. I just like listening to your voice. Yes, well, thank you, caller. I enjoy listening to your voice as well. That's why I look forward to hearing what else you wish to tell me. Oh, right. You can't love me, I said, looking around. Can you give me a minute? I want to go to the room. I cut the phone and whispered heavily, I don't want anyone to hear the next part but you. Yes, of course, he said, ever the gentleman. Would you do me the kindness of keeping me on the line whilst you make your way upstairs, please? Whoa, that voice. Anything for that voice. I thought he laughed, but it could have been a nearby guy betting on video blackjack. I hope you win, buddy. I slapped the dude's back. Then the desk attendant let me into the restricted section when I showed him my key card. Golden elevator buttons didn't light up until I remembered to push the arrow. I closed one eye to select the floor better as I said, 45. You're on the 45th floor, Carrington asked, drawing me out of my stupor. Huh? Oh, yeah. I glanced around the empty elevator. I asked for the suite you stayed in the last time. They didn't want to give it to me, but I offered a pretty big tip. Double the rate. I pursed my lips and snorted. They still said no, the room is occupied. But there was an envelope with 4511 written on it next to the keyboard, I went on. So I snuck it off the desk when the concierge looked away. It's technically larceny, but that's a small price to pay. I'm discovering my true feelings. I slashed my arm like Elvis. Oh, yeah, I forgot that too. That's why I started drinking. I was drunk when we met. Tara, darling, you miss me that much? He asked, a strange ache in his voice. Why didn't you explain this to me earlier? Why don't you call me Claire like everyone else? It's always Clara, I said, impersonating him. Yuck, yours sounds better. The white light extinguished behind the cutout 45. I tripped down the hall, almost hitting the floor until I crossed my feet like a confused ballerina. The black kitten heels were a good idea by the sales lady, but they're a bad idea for walking. The door lock buzzed upon feeling my key card. I tottered through the entryway and shouted in my best Cuban accent, Lucy, I'm home. I jumped and spun, catching the corner of the wall. Whoops, no jumps in the shoes. I kicked them away after my ass hit the ground. Carrington's voice mingled with closing doors. Are you in the room? Yep, in the room. I rolled onto my stomach to lazily kick my feet. What was I supposed to do in here? He was muffled again. You were going to tell me why I shouldn't love you. Oh, yeah. I pouted and picked at the gingham carpet. Well, you shouldn't love me because you won't love me when I'm fat again. So you shouldn't love me now either. I see, he said quietly. Would you mind explaining that to me, please? Something dinged. Yep, I said. I was big. Like, big. Like, how big? Like, Sarah, why do you believe my love is contingent upon your weight? Because, Mr. 2 Degrees, love is always contingent upon the weight. Well, we'll be fine for another couple of months, but you'll see. It'll all come back. It always does. And when it does... Are you still with me? He asked after another ding. Nope. Heavy footfalls came down the hall. He pleaded, Sarah, darling, please stop making that sound. A wet blanket in every batch indeed, I whispered, frowning. A beep preceded the door swinging open behind me. I froze, and my phone thudded onto the carpet as I swallowed. It felt like a snake coiled in my stomach. It gurgled once before I flipped onto my back. Carrington stood in front of the door, appraising me with golden hazel eyes. His black hair was perfectly styled, matching the color of his tuxedo. My chest constricted as I struck the ground. You're a fucking sorcerer! I yelled, and I threw my phone at him, awkwardly crab-walking away. He held out his hands. All right, please don't be alarmed. It's only me. What in the holy fucking criminy are you doing here? My head cracked against the bed frame. I fell to the ground and cursed, patting my hair. Ow! Blanket slid off the bed as I climbed aside to get on top. I looked behind me on all fours. I was proctoring a charity ball at the Aria, he said. I believe I told you that earlier when we spoke. Our conversation was fuzzy, but I picked out a sentence or two. I shall be in the U.S. beginning today, he'd said. Perhaps we may organize a get-together before I return to London. He yelled, periodically looking behind me as I crawled across the bed. I've been drinking since yesterday. God damn it, Rebecca. Who is Rebecca? He asked, his beautiful brow ruffled. Piss poor shrink, I answered darkly. Then my hand met air, and I toppled ass over tits with a heavy bang. I stayed still as I waited for my breath to return. Christ, Paula. The opposite side of the world slanted when he lifted me under my arms. He brushed my dress in the back with a little more force than necessary over my bottom. I told you not to love me. He closed his eyes as if he was asking for strength. Laughter bubbled into my chest and exited through my mouth. I said brokenly, that's exactly how I feel on a dry weekly basis when you ask me to talk about my feelings. Carrington strode to the writing desk and spun the chair. He marched it to the middle of the room and reached for my elbow. I whipped out of his grasp and said, absolutely fucking not. If you want me to sit, you'll ask me. I'm a person, not a thing. I won't be ushered around like a child simply because you need to control this situation. His eyes widened, and he nodded with a warm smile. Yes, you're quite right. I apologize for my presumption and any inadvertent lack of respect. He retraced a few steps and extended his arm. Would you please do me the pleasure of sitting in that chair, Claire? Here, Claire, I repeated with a giggle, flopping into it. That rhymes. It's ironic I don't like it when you tell me what to do, isn't it? I love it when you tell me what to do in the bedroom, or kind of in a bedroom, but not in a bedroom. You know what I mean? Yes, quite droll. He clasped his hands behind his back and leveled me with an expectant stare. Why aren't you sitting? I asked. Well, why not? He sighed as he disappeared into the dining room and placed one of the armchairs across from me when he returned. Woo, I want that one, I exclaimed, hopping forward and almost knocking it over. Oh, darling, will you please sit still? Since you asked nicely, I will, I said, winking at him like a pirate. He pressed his lips together, but he laughed anyway. You're awfully bold when you're drunk, he scolded. He sat and gracefully lounged his left arm over the backrest. Do you know that? I shrugged and swung my feet. Not really, I just lose the filter. I didn't mean brave. He linked his hands and rested his wrists on his knees. You're brave all the time. You certainly don't require alcohol to enhance. Oh, God, it's fucking hazel sights. My body tensed, but his voice was calm and even. You look worried, Clara. What are you thinking? I know you're mad. It's okay. I'd be mad too. I repeated my shrug. But I can't think straight when you look at me like that. It's too intense. He sat upright. Would you prefer to speak with me on the phone? Huh? I asked. We were just on the phone, weren't we? Yes. However, you seem to express yourself freely by phone. Should my physical presence during deep confessions bother you, I'll gladly ring you in the other room. It wouldn't trouble me as long as you convey what you're struggling with right now. Why? I whispered. I love you, Clara, and I want you to be safe with me. Should that require me to walk away, I'll willingly do so. I nodded. He retrieved my abandoned cell phone and flicked it with his fingertips. It cascaded and landed in his upturned palm. He winked at me as he placed it in mine. I'll give you a bell after I close those doors. He kissed my cheek before sliding them shut. His handsome face popped up as my phone buzzed. I answered it with a vestige of fear. Hello? Good evening, darling. Are you feeling better now? A warming safety filled my heart and extremities. I stretched long and lean like a cat before falling limply to gaze at the ceiling. My eyes traced the recessed lights. What do you know so much about so much? I asked. He exhaled lightly. I've been around the block a few times more than you have, my dear. It's merely experience. I smiled. No, he said. I believe you're about to tell me why you felt my love for you was based solely upon your physical appearance. My smile turned upside down. Oh, do we have to? I punched into my dress, covering the cushion between my legs. The dots are so happy. I shouldn't feel sad while wearing polka dots. I normally wouldn't ask you to talk about anything that makes you uncomfortable, Lana. However, as you brought it up, I rather think it's important we do. Okay. I twisted the material for something to hold. It's just You never saw me when I was bigger. You only know me now. I shuddered. You wouldn't have given me a second thought. My voice cracked, and an unexpected sob rose to my chest. I know it, and it breaks my heart. I gasped as a whimper escaped me, followed by tears that fell like drizzling rain. Because I love you so much, and to think we never would have been together. Just because of my weight, I could cry all day and all night. I wept, strangled and unbridled, dropping the phone to cover my face. I'll walk away, I said to myself, and it'll hurt way fucking worse than being wrong. Stupidity will always repeat itself. The pocket door squeaked open. Several slow and cautious footsteps resonated through my rocking sobs. I waited for the final door to close, but couldn't wait to let loose my suffocating howl. My fingers slitted before my streaming eyes. One shiny black shoe was in my left periphery, and something warm draped around my shoulders. I inhaled as lapels of his tuxedo jacket settled into place. Look at him. No, don't remember anything but his smile. This is a nice parting gift, I said. It smells like you, too. Warm and clean, with a touch of spearmint. I'll treasure it always. A beautiful sandy beach appeared as I stared at the floor. We'll go there after here, I said to no one. Sun, sand, booze, and sea. Yeah, darling, Carrington said with a strange ache. Can you hear me, Mother? I can hear you, I replied. And I'll miss you. His whispered voice was next to my ear. Clara, I forgive you. Just go. He sighed. I'd be lying if I claimed to know the monstrous people you've dealt with over the years. Based upon your mere memories, I only hope I never have the displeasure of meeting them, he said with a biting edge. Your kindness and childlike spirit doubtless made you an easy target for their abuse. And for that, I'm truly sorry. Tell me what else you're sorry for and get it over with. I struck the errant thought, but I should have told him sooner. John Carrington will be the last man to hold my heart, I said to no one. I crushed his jacket lapels. The son of a bitch knew I'd need this jacket. He knows fucking everything. I'm still here, Clara. And where I do not offer an apology is in the love that I share for you. He extracted my right hand with sizable difficulty and kissed it before entwining our fingers to lay them in my lap. I do love you, no matter how difficult that is for you to process. That love will never change, even if your body does. I love the person you are and hidden, he said sweetly, touching my heart. Electricity crackled, and it beat wildly. Are they palpitations? I asked. Maybe I'm dying, and this is a Death Star's dream. I'll make it believable. It's reality, he said. And, although you had to get pissed to tell me the truth, I'm rather glad you did it. He kissed my earlobe as an involuntary warm shiver ran along my spine. Now I know for certain that you love me as well. I slowly turned to him. His eyes were pink around the edges, and the tip of his nose was rosier than usual. I kissed the back of his hand like he had mine, and whispered, You stole my heart. I added with crinkled brows, You fucking wanker. His body trembled with unexpected force as he lowered his head. Do you even know what that means? Kind of like a dickhead, right? He swiped his eyes with his free hand before brushing my face. Well, you're not too far off, so I'll allow you to have it. He shook his head along with our clasped hands. I also suppose it's only fair that I stole your heart as you nicked my key from the front desk. He stood and winced, hugging my arm to embrace me tightly. He kissed my head and I giggled. What's so funny? He asked. You're still too old to get up and down from the floor, I said, pushing my face into his chest. It rumbled warmly. Clara, I cannot say that I have ever had to get up and down from the floor as much as I have with you. His white dress shirt shifted against my cheek. However, that's quite all right, as you're worth every aching joint and every popping bone. He tenderly pulled my head with my hair, stopping his lips next to mine. I love you, Clara. I closed my eyes and said, You too, John.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I liked the voices. I appreciated that, and I think you nailed them. That was impressive. So thank you so much for that.
I tried. I actually listened to Colin Firth reading Affair to Remember to try to nail the British inflection of like a proper British. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Very good. Awesome. So thanks for that. So if people want to learn more about you, what's the best place to send them?
I do have a newsletter. I can give you the link for the newsletter. That is, I post there once a month. It's a very intricate, involved newsletter. It's not just like a kind of an ad shot. Like I put a lot of effort into it. I write, about what's going on with my life, what I'm doing with my writing. I always make sure I have an anecdote in there. It's a lot of fun. I have about 500 subscribers so far, so that's
awesome.
Exciting.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. So I'll include that. And then, so I like to say it's last call. You don't have to go, but you'll have to restart the video. So if there was one piece of advice you would impart upon the audience here, it'd be small, big, wherever you want to take it, just to make their life a little bit better, what would that be?
Live by your own rules, guys. Make sure that don't let anybody tell you what you can or cannot do. If you want to do something, do it. If you don't know how to do it, but you still want to do it, figure it out. You want to go and try to long or cross-country ski? I see a lot of people trying to do that around here. They have no idea how to start. Go ahead. Figure it out. Google it. Basically, the advice is do not let someone else dictate what you will do with your time or your life. If you have a passion, if you have something that you deeply believe in, please, for the love of everything, go and do it.
Right. Yeah, very good. Thank you for that. I think it's interesting too. The notion of making your own rules is that at least it makes you, like, the process of doing that makes you think about what you want to do, what those rules are going to be. And, I think that even just that process is really worthwhile, because I think a lot of times we just fall into just do what this says or that says, right? We get it fed to us versus really deciding them for ourselves. So. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a real honor to have you.
Oh my God, the honor was all mine. Are you kidding? I was like a fangirl. I was losing it when you sent the email. I was like, I screamed. I scared the hell out of the cats.
Very good. It was worth it then. Those demonic creatures had it coming. Extra shots. Thanks so much for sticking with us. It was a great show as always. Had a real blast getting a chance to know Astra. Question for you is, what is your irrational fear? Let us know down there in the comments section. Also, let us know about any of the other topics we talked about today. A few announcements on the show is if you are one of our patrons to the open bar episodes, you can now start to find those before they run on YouTube on the Mean Green Rumble machine. As I hear it's called. So if you want a perk for going over there, following us over there as well, you'll get the open bar episodes a little sooner than you'll get them here, although you will get them here. So if you want the opportunity to learn patience, stay here and you'll get that opportunity. Oh, also, the show's available on all major podcast formats. So if you do want your writers drinking whiskey on the go, iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, all the major ones, you'll find us there. Very same show, just audio, and you won't get a chance to look at my beautiful red kind of peeling from the sun, at the beach face. That might be a good thing. And then, as always, very best way if you want to support the show is to buy a book. So I've included those down there as the pinned comment. If you wouldn't mind picking one up, one of my books up, giving it a chance, one of Astra's books, one of both, and many, many more. We would really, truly appreciate that. I think you'll find something to your liking, something meaningful there. So thanks again, as always, so much for the support, so much for making this journey so worthwhile and enjoyable. And cheers, everybody.